them seeing me for who I really am. I was
Right.
just, all of a sudden, I was floating.
Mhm.
The only people that I could not take the time to understand, here we go, especially people with Down syndrome. She told me he has trisomy 21, Down syndrome. My son has Down syndrome. After viewing the world that way for my whole life, to learn of that diagnosis, I didn't even believe her. I was like, what? What? I guess I got to learn what life's about. Bam, 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 bam. All these things came. And like, I have no choice. Here we go. And
Welcome to another episode of our podcast. I am your friend, Wafa Omran, and this is Go Beyond. Conversation with Amanda Wais, who is an award-winning author, a podcast host who celebrates passion and perseverance. Amanda's journey is a raw, radiant testament to resilience and a living proof that the light we seek is already within us. She's a mother whose life was forever changed the moment she looked into the eyes of her son, as she said in her memoir. A tiny warrior with Down syndrome who taught her the real meaning of strength, purpose, and unconditional love. Welcome, Amanda.
thank you so much, Wafa. That was a beautiful introduction. You had me tearing up. I don't often have people tell my story back to me, and you just did it with such heart, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
What a story. What an amazing story, and what amazing life.
Yes, yes.
So, in your book, you say, the first time I looked at my son, this tiny little bundle opened his eyes and looked up at me, as any new mother would be elated to scan her newborn. I was instead drawn into his eyes. They reached out and pulled me into the depths of his being and into the depth of all beings. And that struck me. Take us back to that moment when you first looked into your son's eyes. What did that mean to you?
Yes. So I have never, even to this day, had an experience like that. All I remember was that I looked at him and I was gonna see, oh, does he look like me? Does he look like his dad? All those motherly things that we look for. And I was just all of a sudden I was floating
Mm.
in space, it felt like.
Mm.
And all I could see was blackness and little sparkles, which to me kind of look like stars. Every star that I looked at, I was there suddenly. And I was on that one. And then I couldn't believe that I could look at any of these little sparkling dots around me and be there just because I set my intention on it. And the way that I was kind of floating around without a body is the only way I can explain it. I just felt in that moment that I understood that anything was possible and that I could be completely at peace. And to learn that from looking into the eyes of my son who just came out of my body, I knew that I knew I was meant to be where I was meant to be. Just a few minutes later, when the doctor came in, she told me he has trisomy 21, Down syndrome. And so it was just, there was so much going on with me in that moment. And to learn of that diagnosis, I didn't even believe her. I was like, what? What?
But what I got from you that minute you connected with the universe through your son's eyes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And uh, at that time, you were a young woman, first baby, looking forward to life. How did your son diagnose shifted the way you look at love, at purpose, and at your life, and of course at him?
That's a great loaded question. So the moment that the doctor came in and told me that they suspected it, they still had to run a karyotype, which I had never even heard of at the time. My whole life growing up before that, I tried to love everyone. Like I loved everyone no matter if they were rich or poor, old or young, smart or not so smart, all colors of skin. I just embraced. I love diversity. And the only people that I could not take the time to understand were people with a different mental
Hmm.
awareness, neurodivergence, they call it these days. And especially, here we go, especially people with Down syndrome. And to be told that my son has Down syndrome after viewing the world that way for my whole life, I thought, because I had just been in the universe floating around and anything was possible. So then being told that, I thought, wow, yes, I'm going to have a different journey. Well, and I guess I'm going to learn this. I guess I'm going to learn this now. And it is going to be from this little bundle in my arms right now. I'm going to learn this firsthand. I have no choice. Here we go.
Oh,
And I never wanted for him or for anyone to be limited by a label or a diagnosis, because anyone inside themselves can be so much more than anyone who's deemed typical or normal because they have a reason, right? They have a drive. They, and I love exploring people with those differences of abilities or anything like that because I mean, some people can choose to be more of a victim to it. There's a whole spectrum of how people can adapt to their own body, their surroundings, and all that. But I wanted for my son to know that he could do anything he wants. He could be anything he wants. And still, 10 years later, 10 and a half years later, he believes that, I think. And I am so proud of him. He he made me realize that what's in here is the most important thing because it drives you. And he never said, "Okay, mom, listen up, you really have to follow your heart. You really have to do what you believe." Because I didn't even know what I believed then. He just did was live and be himself. And I just watched him do what he loves and help facilitate, more learning of the things he loved, which has been awesome. Yeah, just he totally shifted my priorities where I became aware and I really had to start thinking, well, what do I want? What do I believe? And turned me from a shell of a person into this, like, I feel like a strong beacon of light. I want other people to see that they can do that too. Because I feel like if I could come out of that, I used to be someone who was always, oh, everything's great. Oh, it's going to be fine. Oh, yeah. Because I never had anything bad happen to me.
yeah,
I guess I got to learn what life's about. Bam, 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 bam. All these things came. Like we were speaking earlier, Wafa, and it's not just one thing, it's all the things.
yeah,
And here we go.
exactly. That's very inspiring. And I always have this question about that moment, that moment when you had to make the decision. We all have to make that decision. Either we're going to be victimized and or we're going to persevere and we're going to be that light, that trust that your son is looking at because
Mm,
he's looking with all the trust in the world that you're going to fix everything for him. We're
mm,
going to make it all right for him. Our parents out there who are facing now that moment when there's a certain diagnosis about their children. For me, it was the brain tumor.
mm,
Uh, and yeah, become unsure and like they're on the edge of fear. and they don't know what to make of that news that just delivered to them. Tell me about how you came into that decision.
You talk about that, making that decision to go from a victim to, in the driver's seat of your own life. And I just want to say to anyone that is trying to do that, it is hard. The first thing you need to do is make that decision. But the next thing you need to do in every moment of every day is remember that decision and keep making choices and keep taking action to keep you in the driver's seat of your own life. And when you're not used to it, it's exhausting and you're always learning something new. And it's just, wow. I mean, I remember how long it took me to be able to think, oh, I need to take control of my life. I need to help this kid survive. And that was my biggest thing because how I mean, shunned, if I could say shunned people with Down syndrome, just like, don't look at me. I just never knew what are they thinking. So here's a little nugget for you, I suppose. What are they thinking? I was afraid of people like that would just kind of stare, who would sometimes stare, but they wouldn't talk. And you know what? I figured out what I was afraid of. Them seeing me for who I really am.
Which is,
Which was a phony. I didn't know what I believed in. And I was judging them. I was standing on sandy ground in a river. I just For someone to look at me with such purity and curiosity and wonder about me, I didn't have anything to tell them. Watching my child, he sees past all that. He doesn't care anything about what we as humans trying to use as a facade.
yeah.
He just sees right to your heart and right to your soul. And he says, "What's your name?"
Mm,
"Oh, hi."
mm.
And you get a hug or a handshake or have a nice day. And I was afraid of that. Isn't that weird?
Because I had a brother with autism,
Ah.
and I understand everything you just said. The way
Mm.
people look at him, alienate him, don't speak to him. Although he had good spoken word, he actually memorized poetry. God
Oh.
rest his soul. He died early, but
Mm.
he was a beautiful soul that we loved him. But people saw him in a different light, and it was sad that you cannot open your heart to God's beautiful creation. So why you cannot see that? It's not easy. But for
I was afraid to be seen for who I am because I felt like I was nothing inside. So he really showed me who I am. And like you said, he needs heart surgery, open heart surgery. Here's my 4-month-old kid, and they slit his rib cage, slit it because it's still cartilage when you're that young, and then peeled it back and worked in his heart and closed it up.
oh,
He only had 2 valves in his heart, so they had to add
mm,
2 more to make it four, the valves in the heart. And um, yeah, just to watch how he came out of that, kicking and screaming like, "Mom, you won't believe what they did to me in there!" Ah, he was just ready for. It's like,
wow.
what's next? He's like, I can't believe I just made it through that. And then, of course, he had so much more energy because his heart was working. And he drank so much milk that my mom, who was a nurse, who was with me on that trip, thank goodness, said, "You need to make him stop drinking because his tummy's going to explode." Just watching how instantly I mean, if you talk about that, was that his decision? He decided, wow, my heart works. Awesome. I can do anything now.
That's
And
wonderful.
I truly believe that that's how he lives. But
Yeah.
for him, it was, you know,
He rocks life. I can
oh,
see
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you had support, as you said, from your family, but you were alone with your son.
Well,
And then,
yeah,
yeah,
for the most part, if you don't mind, I was married and
yeah,
his dad just traveled a lot for work and he wanted to be there, but he also knew that he had to make some money.
okay,
And
good.
so he went and did all the things. And that was hard for me because I thought, wow, it was just hard for me. But he was doing what he thought he had to do, and I was doing what I thought I had to do. So
That's
he's a good man.
Thank you for the clarification because
Yes.
yeah, parents go through this, you know.
Yes.
When my son got diagnosed, my husband didn't know how to respond to it except by taking care of the logistics.
Yes.
So he was missing for me from the role that I needed from him for me and my son. He's an amazing father. He loves his son so much. He was hurting as much as I was hurting, but
Hmm.
this is the way he responds to these times of adversity. And for him, taking care of logistics, the hospital bills and stuff, and which makes a lot of sense, of course.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, for me, it was difficult because I felt like I was alone with my son, and we had to go through the the hard moments. Most of the time we were alone. um, and I'm not saying that to minimize or diminish my husband's role or your husband or the father of your son.
Hmm.
um,